Good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to Commissioners Court and thank you for being here today. This is a special meeting of Commissioners Court to conduct a workshop. At this time, the meeting will come to order. Sheriff, would you say the invocation, please?
Father, we come to you this afternoon, thanking you for this day, and thanking you for the many blessings you bestowed on each and every one of us, Lord. We ask you to continue to guide us and be with us in our days to come, Lord. And we ask that you be with this meeting today, that we may accomplish the goals set out here, Lord, that we may be able to conduct a better county business throughout each department and office, Lord. We just ask forgiveness where we have failed you, and we ask that you guide us in the days to come and guide our lives in the way that will be pleasing to you. And all these things we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Item number 3 is a workshop on inventory and fixed assets policy. The reason we're in the dark is because Jackie turned out our lights. She's got us in the dark. No, ma'am. But yeah, that's it.
Came back. Okay, this is a new inventory policy that we want to introduce to the court. I'll work through it with y'all too. Our old policy only has like one paragraph that really talks about inventory. So we thought we needed some clarification to help all of us, make sure we stay within the state laws and all. Our new finance system is what kind of really has pushing this to. It has an inventory package in it that we can start our new inventory in and kind of make sure we get everything in it. Inventory is very hard for us to stay up with. We struggle with it. I think everybody does in their departments. So we're hoping that this new package and everything that it has to offer, that it help kind of make it be more efficient for us all and keep up with it. We researched several different counties that we came up with this, and it worked. We had somewhat of a committee. Commissioner Cooper and Commissioner Roberts has helped us with this and looked over it, and we feel like we've got a pretty good one to look, to offer y'all and look at. I guess we'll kind of go. What we'll do is we'll just kind of go page by page, and y'all already probably have it. Maybe you have some questions, so when we get to something that you need more clarity on, or maybe I can help you understand it, or questions, just feel free to ask, and we'll just kind of work through it that way. We may not have all the answers, but we'll try to either give you a good one or a research one to make it where it does make sense, or answer your next question better. So, if you want to start that. This is basically just going to be kind of our introduction to it. There's always going to be exceptions to this policy and procedures that have to be approved by Commissioners Court. So anytime that we're going to make changes or anything like that to this, it always goes through our Commissioners Court. It gives you some of the local government codes and laws and why we're doing this. Anything else? Nothing else. The first one is really, it just states how we kind of accumulate our stuff. Either we do it if it's over 50,000, it has to go through Commissioners Court, an official bid, and the other purchases that are made through the purchasing department it just has to come through us. It's basically that first part. The definitions and for the fixed and inventory assets, at this point in our old purchasing policy, I would like to point out, it says that, it's like on page 6 under 7, it says a single item with a life expectancy of 3 or more years for a cost of $500 is what goes into our inventory. And we struggle in that department because, every department has different ways of using things. The Sheriff's Department uses it 24/7, 365 days a year. So, y'all go through y'all stuff where, someone else's department is not, we're only here so many hours. You don't sit in your chairs 24 hours a day. So y'all stuff, it's harder to me, I feel like I'm harder on y'all, like it has to go in, or if we put something in on theirs and we put it in on somebody else's. So I'm asking the court if y'all would just take out the life expectancy of the 3 or more years, and let's just go to $500 on that.
Does anybody have any comments on that change?
As we go through this, Miss Jackie, I'll note the request on change for my personal
Okay.
information here, but how many proposals are you coming up with right now as far as changes that you're gonna recommend?
Probably, you know, this was probably, it's gonna be, more details and probably more so than change. This will be the first major change, and I guess I could point out the two notebooks on the front. That's, the big one is what we have in inventory now. That's everybody's inventory. And if we went to the 500, it goes to the shorter one, the more thinner one, that we would have to stay up with and kind of stay. But this is one of our, really probably would be the only major change, because there's really not any other details in our old policy. It's just one paragraph as far as that. This just kind of tells us in detail what each department is, what they're to do to stay up with their inventory, like what auditing's gonna do to what they're gonna do when they come to do your auditing on your inventory, and then what our job is to do. It kind of repeats itself, but it kind of details out what each department is gonna do. So it really gives us more details than changes, other than this one. If that makes sense on that. And basically, that just gives you the definitions of, you know, the inventory and the fixed assets, and the inventory items. If we go to that 500, if it's anything over 5,000 is considered a fixed asset. And really, the only thing that makes a difference is how we put it into the finance system, and for Angela to kind of, at the end of the year, for depreciation, things like that, staying up with it. We will tag everything, we'll try to tag anything under B, like, because we need to have, it says property of county, because a lot of things wouldn't be tagged, the smaller items, like smaller printers or something like that. It's still county property and it need to be tagged, so we'll try to put, like, property of Hardin County, maybe the date it was purchased or something like that. We can backtrack it if it breaks or something like that. You know, something to help the department know where they've gotten it from, and any kind of backtracking we need on it, on the smaller items. If that, I thought that would be a helpful thing in here. The next kind of, the end of this page and the next page would be more to the auditing side. This kind of has classifications that we'll be able to put into the finance system, and it will help auditing kind of go through their end of the year, finding things for the outside auditor and things like that. But we're supposed to be able to, we hadn't actually really work on this part of the system. We're gonna start it really quick, how to classify certain things, and it just makes it go faster for the outside audit and stuff. So that's really more for the auditor side on that. I don't know if Angela, everything okay on? She's already looked at it too. And then this kind of starts the responsibility of the county officials. It's basically telling you that, you know, you need to would read this and make sure you know it, or whoever you put in charge of your, I guess, inventory and stuff. Just basically tells you you're gonna be responsible for it and how we'll go about, you know, coming to you with, you know, we give you the printout of the sheet and what you'll have to stay up with. Whenever we start the new system, I would be telling you if we do change it to the 500, and everybody would sign off of it, and we kind of start with that new spot there.
On number 4,
Yes, sir.
A2, is that the paragraph that we had questions about?
When you get to, sorry, is it page?
Page 7?
No, sir, that one's not. That one's a little bit further over that we had
Okay.
questions about, yes, sir. And this basically just kind of keeps on telling you your responsibilities, and it breaks it down, kind of how we would try to help you find things if we can't find them. If things were lost or stolen in the process of that, because we really don't have a good definition in that. None of this is really ever spelled out. We just kind of throw together whatever if it happens, and we just kind of do the best we can. So I thought if it was a good guidelines, that we always handle it the same way from here on out. Okay, and number 8, will always, it'll show up a couple of times, because you do not have the authority, the departments or department heads, nobody really has the authority to destroy or discard of any county property. It always has to come back. You know, this is to keep, I want to keep y'all safe. I don't want, you know, if something goes, well, I didn't realize it was broken, I don't know why we if it was bought with county funds, it has to come back to purchasing. And then the commissioner's court is the only one that has this authority to say, you know, we'll have a room that's, I'll just tell them it's junk, nobody, we have to try to go through a selling process. And when they say it is, I shouldn't say the word junk, Mr. Coe gets onto me, when it is salvaged, it goes. They're the ones that can tell us we can throw it away and we can dispose of it at that time. So we kind of tried to reiterate this through here each time, just to make sure we're all on the same page, because I wouldn't want anybody to ever have to be questioned or anything like that. So it's basically for y'all's safety, all of our safety on that, just to, because it is by law on that, they're the ones that can do that. Okay. Any questions? I'm not a very good speaker on this, so y'all just ask.
You're doing fine.
Okay.
Jack,
Yes, sir.
if the court agrees to limit inventory to the $500 or more,
Mhm.
does that still, do we still need to go through you with throwing away stuff that's less than $500?
Oh, yeah, if it's bought with, if it is bought with county property, it is supposed to be discarded of, you know, they're the ones that are supposed to discard it. They, you know, you can come back to me and we'll just, I mean, I can still stockpile it, get a bunch and we have a bunch,
So
so.
coffee maker goes out, he wants to bring it back to you.
It's supposed to be, that's how, if it's bought with county funds, it belongs to county. And the commissioner court is the one that can say, and it does state this down here, accumulation of disposal of assets, and number 5, that they'll tell me that I can get rid of it, and we'll just jump it, you know. I know it sounds kind of, it may sound kind of, I don't know, petty or whatever, but, you know, I just don't want y'all to get in trouble on this. When we go to school, this is something that they really kind of drill on us on that. So I wanna make sure we're doing it all right.
Even things like staplers and hole punches and, I mean,
Well, we throw them in the box and, you know, when we have the junk sale, so when people come, they go, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "If you don't want it, you can throw it away." I mean, you know, maybe not so much the little stuff like that, but, I mean, anything that, if you wanna be safe, you can. I mean, that's what, we chunk it in a box and slide it in a room and do that.
So you want me to bring you my old tractor tires?
You know, we have gotten rid of tractor tires now, so now we recycle those, we sell them to somebody that recycles. That's Mr. Rogers. Yeah, just let us know. Don't bring me those. Maybe I need to clarify on commissioners, don't bring me all your broken tools, huh? Okay, I guess we'll go to the fixed asset inventory and procedures. This basically just goes back over about the same thing that's under the fixed asset side of it. I don't know if y'all have any questions on that.
I realize this is gonna be, good for, for the future,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been needed.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my question might be more to the auditor. When y'all did exit audits on the, elected officials that just left and the incoming new ones, did y'all find, and maybe you're gonna present this later, but did y'all find any discrepancies on anything that we need to address?
Well, we did our exit audit and we addressed our inventory issues, and then we're gonna get with purchasing and work it out with them. There is some missing items, but purchasing also has a list that we need to compare with to make sure we're on the same level.
Cause once this gets in place, and I've had conversations with the sheriff about this, you know, there might be old items that we don't know anything
Right, I
about that's
think
still on the list
yes,
that we need to actually get taken care of, so
That is
someone in the
correct.
future don't have to, you know, put up
And
with it.
that's,
And I
what,
think
you know, that's why
that's
it's so
why-
big, like, I have probably 15 pages of missing items, you know, I just stick it in a missing file when we go back to do something, and, you know, and that's kind of the next question when we get to the end of that, what we talked about. What are we gonna do? There's a lot of things missing, but, you know, I mean, go a year from now and go in somebody else's office and have something that is not on their list, and then when I type it into the system, it pops up and it was missing from somebody else's office, and they'll go, "Well, here, we found it," you know what I'm saying? I don't think people really do anything dishonest, it just gets shifted around, and it's just kinda hard to stay up with it. It ends up being in a missing file, and we don't know where it goes until a couple of years later or something like that.
Or when you're doing an inventory in another office, you may find it
Yeah,
there.
oh yeah, absolutely, we find 3 or 4 things and go, "Oh, here it is," you know?
But once we get all this finalized and y'all start entering the new inventory, or the inventory into the new program, we'll just have one inventory. Like Angela just said, they have one and y'all have one. I think each of the departments
Mhm.
keep their own as well. We're gonna
Right.
get it down to one that everybody
Right.
keeps up with.
And if it goes down to that 500, it'd be so much easier for us to go in and do it and keep it, I hope, more accurate than what it is now, because it ends up being so much of the, $150 print, it's just so many of them that it's just hard to track down and all that, so we're hoping that it makes it more efficient. But we're still saying those tests are important and it's county property, I'm not dismissing it that way. So on the next page is the,
I have a question, Jackie. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
furnish us an inventory of what
yes, sir, I
our
tried to.
department should have?
Yes, sir. I do, we try to do that, and I've been trying to do it whenever you make a change or something, or add something, send it to y'all each time, or you can stay up with it. In July, it states in here that we're mandated to give, each district judge and the county judge and the auditor a copy of everybody's inventory. So I try to do that with each office too, when I do that, cause I'm just running it off then. So I know for sure in July you get it. And I try to update it when we go through here. With the new system, I hope it's gonna be easier and I can keep it going and we can look at it at any time. And I think y'all are supposed to be able to look at it with the new system too, at any time.
Well, that's one thing that we're trying to start with, this inventory software system. We're trying to get to a starting point. And then Jackie and I have discussed yearly giving a printout to each department and to the officials so they can monitor it. And so if something has been switched to another department, you can catch it at that time. So we should have every year an updated list that's accurate to what you have in your departments.
Hopefully. Keep my fingers. Okay, on the next page, this page, I'm sorry. This, I think it's still under the fixed asset procedures. Number 4 and 5, there's been some questions on it, and I would like the commissioners to read that. We put it in here just because it was kind of an accountability measure, but I don't know if it's something that's really necessary for here. It's just, if y'all would read it and see what y'all think on that.
Going back to the page that I asked you about, if it covered that, what page is that, do you remember?
I think that was, page
7?
7.
I think that number 2, is important, that the department head shall be responsible for proper accounting, inventory, maintenance, and all that, but then when you get to, 4 and 5,
On page 11?
on page 11, this language is basically saying that elected official or department head could be required to reimburse.
Right, that's something, I don't know if that's something y'all.
Commissioner, Kirkendall, I know has raised a question on that, and I believe the sheriff as well. And I'm sure other department heads would too. I don't know how the other commissioners feel. I mean, we could reword it, we could take it out.
We can take it out, I mean, this is just stuff, we tried to put in as much information as I could, be as helpful as I could, but this is definitely stuff we can take out if it doesn't fit our county or. And this
I'll
is
just say
manual.
that I don't think a department head should be responsible for something that somebody who works for them has stolen or lost.
Okay,
So that's my view on that.
As far as reimbursing, I agree with you, but
Yeah.
I still feel that other, language is
appropriate for that.
appropriate, yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna strike 4 and 5?
Well, if you strike 4, I don't think 5 even would
Yeah.
apply, so.
So we'll take both of those out.
But it doesn't say shall, it just says may.
It does say may, and I just wonder, is there any way to maybe word something that says that if an individual, instead of saying the
And it
department
says
head,
that- Yeah, and it says at the discretion of the commissioner's court, I mean, it doesn't even have to, well, I guess it would come here in a basics, because if we find something, it's our duty as the purchasing agent or the auditor, to bring y'all's attention, and it says we will.
They could change elected official or department head to just employees.
They didn't do
At
it.
the discretion of the commissioner.
Because, I mean, if it's,
same thing with the head, they didn't.
Well, I believe it.
His inventory that-
What I'm thinking on the lines of that, if we're talking about the possibility of somebody stealing something,
right,
then obviously there needs to back to the court to determine what the outcome of that is. In fact, if I did steal something, then the legal
We handle that through
process takes
restitution.
place.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if something that goes missing in the field, and the best we can come up with after looking into it is that it's lost, and it, you know, we can't find any wrongdoing by anybody, you're gonna hold the department head or the elected official liable for repaying the county for that lost item? Or,
Yeah, I agree on the theft portion of it. I think we're covered under other policies that say we will pursue criminal charges or investigations or whatever, but on this,
I like the part about may. You know, may is not a definitive and shall is, and that's what I like about that.
I certainly think that the commissioner's court that resides, it resides with y'all, but I think that the elected official or department head should be able to come to the court and try to explain what may have happened to this lost or stolen stuff that belongs to the county.
Anybody else have anything
If
on
you
that?
take it out, it takes away the accountability,
Yes. I agree with that.
I mean,
and it's discretion, it's
You
under.
agree with that? You agree with that? Yeah, I do too.
It doesn't talk about the employee, it just talks about the department.
it's more about the department head.
And/or employee or.
Is the general consensus that everybody in here is okay with item number 4?
That'd be changed.
That they're okay with it the way it's worded? It says may be required to reimburse.
I agree with May.
Do we need to add the employee language in there? I mean,
Could
maybe,
you put official or employee?
yeah, and/or employee.
We could say and/or the person or the employee that it's assigned to. We might could put that.
Responsible for, yeah. Assigned to or responsible for.
So just that amount of wording is all y'all want to change, just add the employee wording to it.
Is that what everybody kind of agrees on?
Wouldn't that give the department head a little, to be able to say what it was assigned to this employee and.
What do you think? I see you thinking.
well, I can see I can see both sides, but I think I would vote to take it out completely. And I'm not sure, I know Mr. Kirkendall had a concern about it, but I don't remember what his recommendation was as far as,
I don't think he wanted it in either, but, we didn't really go into detail when we were talking about it, but that was a concern of his.
I mean, you can look at it two ways, just like the sheriff, brought about. If you look at it with the idea of theft in mind, then we're not gonna hold the department head responsible.
And y'all
But if you
already-
look at it like the loss, I'm reading it that this was put more in there for the theft portion of it, and we're already covered under different policies for theft, so.
Okay.
Well, what if we, just an example, what if we had assign an employee a camera, just to go do some pictures for home evaluation, and it comes time we need to use that camera, and we ask her for it, and she can't find it, don't know where she put it, who's gonna be responsible for that? And what policy do we have to hold somebody responsible for that, if we take this out?
Do we have one? Another policy that, so we need to address it here.
I don't know if we have a county policy, the sheriff's department has a department policy that you're responsible for, any equipment assigned to you. So I'm sure each department would have their own individual. I don't know about a county policy that says, you know,
We do have a policy in the personnel policy about, county items, but I don't know right now exactly how it's worded, but that they are responsible, for it. We do have under the fraud.
if we left this in, and I don't have a problem leaving, I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but if we left it in, I would say we need to take the verbiage in there out about the department head and just put the employee could be held responsible, and remove the elected official and department head altogether.
Out of that.
Yeah, because they may, if the department head is the person that equipment's issued to, they are the individual who's
Yeah.
responsible.
Yeah,
Okay. How's that sound?
Yes, sir.
that sounds good.
So instead of saying the department head or elected official may be required, it'll say the employee to whom the asset is assigned may be required.
Can I ask a question? What if it's like Jackie, this little incident that we had, where two chairs just, they're not missing. I mean, just disappeared. These are 1950 model chairs, and some people it might be real valuable, but,
Yeah.
you know, there was the old dining chairs in the hospital. And two of those chairs just disappeared literally, and we don't know, we just, back one weekend and.
Well, I guess it still comes back to.
Yeah, it goes under the discretion of the commissioner's court, it comes back to,
Yeah,
you know,
like-
and we would look at that and go, no, yeah, you know, that would be ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of, I'm speaking for everybody here, I'm sure.
I mean, yeah, I was just gonna say, we are, you know, everybody's supposed to, and it basically tells you that, you know, you're gonna look, you're gonna report it to us, and we're gonna try to go look, and then I think we report it to the auditor, and I think she's gonna try to look before we even get anywhere. I mean, it's like, we're all supposed to try to work together and figure it out.
Just a question.
Yeah, I mean-
That wasn't assigned to anybody.
Right.
It was definitely in our department, and it
Right.
had our IHC and our number on it,
Mhm.
but.
Yeah, well, a lot of that stuff like that, probably won't be necessarily on your inventory that you have to be, I guess, accountable for on this if it goes to the 500 on that, you know, it's just gonna be your bigger items that you probably really have more control over, have a little more, you know, I guess it would be closer into home than just out in the hall or something like that.
In a situation like yours as well, if it's damaged instead of lost too, well, your department has a lot of interaction with the public, so, you know, it could have been damaged by someone from the public and not just an employee, but.
But I think the key is when you notice it, report it.
Right,
Right,
and she is, so, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is just good, you know, good communication, like if we know it's missing as soon as you do it, maybe we can
Yeah,
try to find it or
just
something.
because it's an old chair doesn't mean part of the coffee maker.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just report it, it'd be done.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we can really do. Cause it's gonna, I mean, things come, you know, are gonna come moving around and all.
Maybe I can just resolve.
No,
Resolve it.
no,
Anything else? This one okay? It just basically talks about, you know, we'll supply y'all a copy of the inventory, signing off on it, and that pretty much it tells you that, again, that I'll be giving copies to the district judges, the county judge, whatever. Okay, this is the fun one. Okay, disposition of fixed assets and inventory assets is by the local government code. And Miss Rebecca Walton Hank coming and holds our feet to the fire on this one. So, it tells us that, there again, that wording, do not throw it away, you don't have the authority, nobody has the authority to throw them away, turn it back to us. And, all assets are owned by the county to be disposed of by a sale or competitive bid or auction. And this is all under Commissioner's Court. They give us permission to go out for the sale. It all goes back through them. Pretty much, tells you they can do it for donations if they want to. It breaks it down on how we can get rid of it. And it says which one's broken, no longer needed in the department. And therefore, you go through the sale. And then I added, I put this one here on D because county employees really help us out on our sales. Some counties don't allow this. I was just gonna bring this to your attention. They are allowed, our county employees are allowed to bid on our history that we sell down there in our auctions. We have our seal bids. And they're really the ones that kind of pull me through on a lot of this. Some counties don't allow employees to bid on it. So I will just throw that out there. I mean, I feel like we're okay. The county, other counties do. It's a mixed deal. So I just wanted to point that out to y'all as commissioners. If y'all have any disagreement on that. We like our county to keep our history here, right?
Jackie, what do you want us to do with our uniforms that are turned back in that are wore out? We don't really want those going to anybody else or
Yeah.
going up somewhere else.
Yeah, I've never had that brought to me. I mean, I guess I can try to investigate that for y'all and see.
It's just
I
they're
guess you don't,
tore, or you know,
Yeah.
our guys get in harassment, whatever out there, and they get tore on fences and all like that. But, you know, we don't want to
You
turn
don't
them back
just-
in to be sold or anything
Right.
like that because we can't. But
that would be something I guess that we could,
we've usually just discarded them, but I mean, you know, now, whatever you want us to do.
Quilts or something.
that's all.
can't do what he used to do with them. He used to hand them to me, cause I got all the hand-me-downs.
To follow your procedure, it may be where you wanna collect them,
Yeah, we
And
can
then-
collect them and,
then bring it to Commissioner's Court and destroy them,
yeah.
so
We
that
could
way
do
you have
that.
control of them.
So we could do something like put in there on like uniforms and things like that we could, you know, collect them, bring them to court, and then the court decide. I can check with, the county attorney to make sure that we don't have to try to sell them, because we wouldn't really want that out there, and dispose of them. Like, you know, the commissioner court would be able to make that, or we can even put that in there if you want me to. I can check with
Well,
her.
we can just cut our patches off of,
Yeah,
we don't want our patches going anywhere, but.
yeah, and so
you
you
know,
would wanna
some-
buy,
There'd be some back on somewhere
yeah.
out here in the street, you know.
Yeah, so absolutely, so we'll look at that and address that for you and find out, cause that's a good question.
Okay.
We wanna make sure, cause we, you know, we're stating on everything else, and then you got proper county, proper money, so, okay, so we'll look at that and find out, see what we can get addressed.
What
Who
does
brought
other
that
counties
up?
do on that?
I don't know, I'll call and find out.
I mean, I don't,
That's a good question.
Mhm.
I don't see a need. I know you
Right,
we have policies and everything we have to go by, but I don't see a need every time he has to get rid of a uniform that we have to authorize it.
right, I mean, I'll
I don't
check with
think so
her and
either.
find out on that and see, maybe, just maybe something
Well,
that,
we could let them accumulate to a certain amount, and then,
have big fun.
and at some point in time, approach the court and say, we've got 10 shirts and 10 pairs of pants that we need to discard and get the approval so that we
It's a
have it.
little different comparing that to like our precinct guys, cause we're under contract with a company that it's their uniform, we're just renting them,
Right,
so.
And we don't mind doing that, we just want to know.
yeah, that's a good question, I'll see what I can find out, I never had that brought to us.
Like a lot of the t-shirts we buy, they say sheriff on the front and back,
Mhm.
most of the time they turn them back in, they're wore out. And
Right.
so,
It's just not a lot of
yeah,
value to that,
they need to be burned, really.
okay,
Yeah, and then jackets as well, so all of that uniform.
okay, we'll do some
Needs to be
research on
addressed.
that and find out for you. No problem. Okay, and then the next couple of ones are just the sheets that we will try to use, like missing inventory or fixed asset that you fill out, and turn into us. And transfer, that type of thing. We'll try to have extras all the time, where we can, cause I'm sure we'll be swapping things around. And another thing is pretty good, yeah, that's happy, really, smile, we're happy. So, you know, I just wanna make sure that we're all protected and go by state law and have something in place. You know, any questions, I think it's repeated so many times in here, we'll be able to find the answer, and it pretty much follows the same guidelines, no matter where you look on that.
Jackie, how current is our last updated list that was sent to us?
Probably not, we haven't probably done a physical inventory in y'all in a long time, so I don't know how current it is. I mean, we just kinda keep adding to it, and that's why these sheets are gonna be so important. You know, cause I know everybody's so busy, and they'll either send it with maintenance, or stick it out in our hall, or even maybe see us in passing, and if I don't remember, if I don't have it in writing, my mind, maybe not slow forget it or whatever, and it stays on your inventory, and we go to do it, and they go, oh, I can totally so forth. So we're gonna try to have it in writing, where you have a copy, I have a copy, and, you know, if I lose mine, maybe you're gonna have yours, you know, we can work it out, so it's not real accurate, but I mean,
Do you know when we're due for our next audit then? I mean,
well, if we pass, if the commissioners decide to go with the $500, then, we will try to go in and do a complete inventory on everybody's office, where you have a current, where we start with the new finance system from that point on. And then they will make the decision, you know, I don't know what wording we have to use on that, cause it's gonna change it so much, and we're still accountable for that. So, you know, when we adopt the new current inventory or something like that, so then you would be current, you know.
I was trying to keep monitoring, I having to pay back for a bunch of old computer
I
chips.
know. Hey, we've got all,
Jared saying he must go first.
Jackie, we do have some things on the old inventory list that we have viewed before.
Yeah.
That were bought by state funds.
Right.
Way back in the original days, they were put on the inventory, but they weren't
Right.
county funding.
right.
We gotta get that cleaned up.
So we need to clean that up. before
Yeah.
we start.
And, you know, the other thing is, you know, like a lot of people say about grant money and all that, and through, this is just things to throw out there. Some grants require that you go by, I guess they'll say by county policy, you know, like, so our if it's an inventoried item, it has to be included. We just have to document it was bought with grant money, you know, in the funding part of it. So make sure when you do your grants or whatever, that you know which side it needs to be on, where we have our inventories matched. It's real important on that. Anything
I
else?
think you still have to have an inventory list, even if it's purchased
We
with
do.
state funding.
Okay, so, you know, we just have to make sure, we're trying to get it documented where the funding, you know, when Angela and them look at it, they know it was bought with your money or state money or grant money. It all becomes muddled. And right now, we have like 4 different areas that I go to in our inventory and look for things that we either want it all under grant or all over under this. So it's kind of hard to stay up with, but hopefully the new one, it's supposed to be all together one. Yes, ma'am.
With our state grants, Homeland Security grants, we have a form called a permanent property transfer form. So that if I get equipment on a grant and give it to the sheriff's office, are y'all gonna have a column showing where that equipment went?
I don't know exactly how that would work. I mean, if it was in your inventory, we'd do a transfer probably with ours too, you know,
So
she,
I was wondering, because,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then if you're gonna release it to them, then it would go, I guess, into the sheriff's department. I mean, the funding would come from you, but I guess.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but it's not in my office, you know,
Right.
it was.
It would go there, yeah, because a lot of them,
So you have a column
hopefully,
for
you
that.
know, we kind of have that storage area, we try to, you know, accumulate things that people have bought and they don't need anymore, and try to do that, so there will be times that you'll get something that was under somebody else's funding, but it's always gonna come out of, it'll always show it out of that, but just in your area.
So I'm saying, if you're gonna have a column showing where exactly it is.
We've only looked at it a couple of times in your inventory screen, and it has so many details that I'm like, well, oh my, it's gonna take us 30 minutes to fill out one.
That's just food for thought.
Yeah, so that is something we can. So like.
And y'all been updating some of the departments lately, haven't you, on the
Yeah, we've
inventory?
done a few, we've tried, it's hard, it's a little hard, and sometimes it takes us a while to do an inventory, especially when it's that big and you're looking for all the, you know, it may take us
Yeah.
2 weeks to eventually get it completely done. 'Cause
Well, that's why we need to address this, so you can go on and start
We hope.
finishing
Yes,
those
sir.
other
Yeah,
offices.
if y'all tell me y'all think y'all are gonna act that way, we're gonna start, pretty
I'm
much
good with
start
that
on it this
$500,
weekend.
what do you?
Jackie, I know
feel
y'all
about
got
that?
a lot of do your own audits,
That's fine.
but, would it help y'all if we go ahead and inventory our own?
If you want to, you know, you can kind of start looking at it.
That's what
I
we
know
do.
the number of things, we kind of looked into that. We don't know how, they said that inventory system has a way, like it automatically gives it a number, so we haven't used it enough to see which numbers, if we're gonna use our own numbers or that. We're still in the questioning side of that. I don't know how it works yet, because they just hadn't converted it because we told them to wait on the conversion until we know. So as soon as we know that, yeah, I mean, anything you know that we're gonna come in and inventory and know where it's at, that'll make it go that much faster, or a list or whatever.
We know that all our furniture in our offices is new and it doesn't have numbers on it,
Right.
so maybe the new system.
Yeah, we can do that and upgrade it and get it going. So we'll try to make it as accurate as we can, where we can start and say, yes, we're good, the first day. So is there any other questions? You know, and I will point out, we try to keep a room that has the extras, like someone's chair break. I try to keep the better stuff, you know, to kind of keep y'all all going, so we do have that, but we can swap it around or whatever on that.
Jackie, do you understand that each year, the auditing department is gonna come in and inventory all, or audit all fixed and inventory assets and give us a list?
We are, and the only
You are.
time that really the auditor will do that is if a commissioner or an elected official or a department head leaves. And then they will go in and do the audit and report
an exit
anything to us that's not accurate, and then
When
we go in.
You said when the official leaves,
Mhm.
no, I mean each year.
No, each year we will be the ones doing it.
Okay, well,
Purchase.
somebody's gonna give us an audit each year
In July.
Supposed to.
Okay.
Yes,
of
sir.
all fixed and everything that's on our inventory.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not, are you?
No, you're just gonna give a list.
I'll
Yeah,
give you
you're
a
not gonna-
list.
You're not
I'll
gonna.
give you a list, a current list, and then your department is supposed to kind of go over it and review it, and if there's any changes, then if they're not finding it, then we could come out and start trying to help you do that. You know, that starts the process of us getting in there and trying to help y'all find it or locate it. But yes, you would have a current list every January. July, I can send that to you. I'll try to keep it where if there's ever a change, like there is a change once we start, you know, send it to you that time, where it's always accurate.
But don't you think for this to be effective, that every so often, that either you or the auditor should surprise, do an inventory?
That's what I was gonna mention. Our department is gonna start auditing departments, and part of our auditing process will be inventory. So it won't happen every year in each department, but there
y'all
will be.
you will take a sample
That is correct.
every year, and no one will know when it's gonna be inventory.
That is correct.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
What if, say, Jackie, we go through purchasing to purchase, say, a new piece of equipment. All right, I'm just talking about the equipment right now. I'm not
Right.
talking about
Yeah.
anything else. Lola has to have that information to get it to tax so that that equipment is now insured. All right, is it the department head's responsibility or are the elected officials' responsibility, or do you automatically do that whenever we purchase that equipment?
I do not automatically do that now. It has always been that, the department that gets the vehicle or the equipment or whatever, it gets it on and tells Miss Lila. I try to remember to let her know, hey, we've got, a truck or something, or whatever. I'm not always, sometimes I let something, like like the motor graders, I think I did call on it. Yeah, I try to, but that's not always been our job to do that. I mean, it's always been under my understanding, it's been the department head to get with Lola and give her all that information and get it on the insurance. I mean, if we need to, I don't know if that's good or bad.
And just so everybody knows, we're in the process of transferring that responsibility over to Human Resources. They'll start handling the insurance, property insurance,
Okay,
autos and everything else as well.
everything goes through them now, okay.
It will, since soon, in the near future.
No, just to kind of reiterate the process, once this is approved or you start having an inventory, policy, then you're gonna go to each individual and get an accurate, up-to-date inventory. And then it's gonna be put into our new financial software. And then every year, the departments and elected officials will receive a copy of their inventory. They need to review it, give it to someone in their department to review, sign off on it, and return it back to Jackie. That helps with people, changing departments, somebody's furniture or somebody's equipment gets changed to a different department, we can catch it at that time. And then one of the processes that our department's gonna start doing is auditing each department various times, not all not all at one time. And then at that point, the inventory will be looked at through our department as well. So that's the process that we're trying to start here. We're trying to get to a starting point so we can know what's there, what's old, and update our policies and our inventory list so we can audit it better.
And just so you know, cause I just went through all this, when you're doing your inventory, and I suggest everybody look at their inventory really hard, I don't know if they have, but I had trucks on my inventory that hadn't been in this county, nothing on where they are, since, commissioner, before the commissioner I took place. It's stuff on there that's no longer even around, so if you go through there and you find that stuff, you make them aware of it, because on their sheets, it is on their sheets also still. But that'll help get everything in line before the whole process starts up.
Jackie, do you think there's just a few minimal changes to be made, and then you have to find out about the uniforms for the sheriff's office?
Right.
Do you think you could have all that done and have the final ready by next Friday?
Work really
So we
hard
could
at that,
address it
but
at the Commissioners Court on March the 9th?
Sure, I'm trying to get it done. Make the changes on that. On the changes on the 500, or y'all change it to 500, you think?
Yeah, I think we're good with how it reads in here.
Okay, that sounds good.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do here, is what you mentioned. There's old items on here that dates way back that nobody even knows where they're at now. So that's why we're trying to start this process so we can dispose of those. So the elected officials and employees and department heads are not responsible for those items that they were gone before they ever got here. So that's one thing we're trying to do through this, is dispose of them properly.
Because as a purchasing agent, and that's why it's so big, is because even though they tell me, well, I threw it away, it's broken, and I believe them, I mean, it's not a problem. I can't take it off of there. I didn't see it, I don't have the authority to, only you can. And so to bring you all that, is what, we're talking about, or it's lost, or whatever. I can't take it off, even though no matter what they tell me, I don't have the authority to do that. So that's why we need to get it cleaned up, because I just don't have the authority to clean it.
So is that why, even though they've marked it off their inventory and told you that, it still shows up on there? But we're gonna address that.
I can't do it, I mean, I don't have it to sell or for y'all to tell me it's, to declare, so when y'all throw it away or get rid of it, we're hung out in limbo until, and I believe that it was, and I've seen some of the stuff, but, I have pieces of furniture, may just keep the board that has the inventory number on it, that's what we have in our, but I just won't do it, because the law tells me I can't until y'all tell me to. So, I guess I might be a little hard-headed on it, but it isn't worth it, to not follow the law when it's there.
But we're gonna get it cleaned up now.
Yes, sir.
We're
Okay.
getting it cleaned up, and then at that point, when somebody says something's no longer there, then we can dispose of it at that time, so we can get it, we can keep it up to date.
Right, and bring it to y'all or whatever. We actually have a process we can follow to keep it clean, hopefully, and where it doesn't get stacked up.
We just have to get to a starting point.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Can
Anybody have anything? Yes, ma'am?
can I just tag on something that y'all talked about earlier?
Yes, ma'am?
In our personnel policy, we do have a policy on fraud, waste, and abuse, and it just basically says that this is policies to establish to protect the assets, resources, and interests of the county to increase the awareness of all employees of the possibility of fraud, waste, and abuse, and to govern the reporting, investigation of allegations of suspected fraud, waste, and abuse, and kind of spells out the responsibility of elected officials, department heads, and the employees. And then one paragraph back here says, the county may use any available resources to investigate allegations of suspected fraud, waste, and abuse, participation among appropriate parties, including the county judge, county attorney, auditor, and law enforcement officials, shall allow for comprehensive and coordinated investigation process to be conducted. So it's just touched on a little bit in here
Yes, ma'am.
that,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, anything else from anybody? Nobody has anything else, we'll stand adjourned. Thank you again for coming.
Connie, you did a good job. Are you missing a button up here?